It's 1978 and children are still sleeping in the streets over there.
The tanker, Superman! The tanker's going to blow!
Not while there's a breath left in my body.
You're such a show-off, you know that?
Sometimes I wonder if Luther and the Americans are right, Diana. Perhaps we do interfere with humanity too much. Sometimes I worry that people don't even like me.
Oh, the people love you, Superman. Some more than you'd ever believe.
Is the lady's identification valid? Papers are in order. Face matches the photo in the book, and the fingerprints look authentic enough. I guess this must mean today's another wedding anniversary, huh, Miss Lane?
That's Mrs. Luther, gentlemen. Lois Lane's just for the byline, remember?
Ma'am?
Happy anniversary, Lex. Here's to another 23 glorious years, darling.
Lois! What a wonderful surprise! Apologies in advance for not buying you anything, but I've been reading 13 fascinating books this morning. Leave the usual present on the desk, and you have my word that one of my assistants can open it later, sweetheart.
Who was that red-headed guy I just passed in the hall? He looked kind of familiar.
Well, he shouldn't have. That was Mr. James Olson, the Pentagon's anti-Superman advisor, and probably the next director of the CIA. Olson commissioned LexCorp to develop what we think could be the most effective anti-Superman deterrent yet.
Is that what you're working on now?
I'm sorry, darling, but I'm afraid that's classified information. Speaking of which, JFK and Norma Jean are joining us for dinner tonight. Apparently, Jack's got some UFO business he said I'd be interested in.
Oh, Lex. Don't you ever stop. This was supposed to be the one night of the year we always guarantee we're going to spend some time together.
You don't understand, Lois. Jack tells me Brainiac and Superman aren't the only aliens who visited the Earth. It seems that another alien crashed in Roswell, New Mexico back in 1947, and the United States of America have an extraterrestrial of our very own. They say the passengers sustained terrible injuries when the ship crashed and died a little later, but an object was recovered from his finger, which interests me enormously. Hoover covered up the incident, hid the body inside some desolate airbase, and then erased said airbase from the map. All fairly standard procedure. Checkmate, incidentally.
Listen, bring Norma Jean and Jack to dinner if you want, Lex. I'm not sure I even care anymore.
Oh, of course you still care, Lois Luther. Why else would you have chosen to live alone all these years, eh?
I guess you're right, Lex. Maybe I am just a one-man woman.
People are saying that the explosion toward the space station didn't have Commander Oslov. They say those cosmonauts would have died if Superman hadn't spotted that flash on the surface when the oxygen reserves caught fire. Personally, I don't think we should be spending money on a space program when there are Americans going hungry out there. What do you think, sir?
I think nobody like you doesn't need to be convinced, moron. Now shut up and get me to the theater before I have you shot for insolence. For God's sake, man! You trying to get us killed?
Believe me, comrade, you're going to die a lot more painfully than this.
Jesus God Almighty!
I heard you wanted to see me, Commander. Well, let's hear what you have to say.
What? How dare you speak to me like that? Do you realize who I am?
Your name is Peter Yosef Roslov, illegitimate son of the late Joseph Stalin, and currently head of the security services. You're a vain man, a cruel man, and obsessively jealous of Superman. It's no secret that you harbor political ambitions of your own. Who you are is meaningless. The question is why you're putting the word around that you want to talk to me.
I take it, that it's safe to speak down here?
Naturally, Commander.
Then I will get straight to the point. Lex Luthor and his friends in the CIA have an interesting proposition for you, Batman. They want you to kill Superman.
And why should Luthor's latest plan be any different from all his previous failures?
They are using information our people found in the rocket ship that brought Superman to Earth. And it seems they figured out his weakness. Now we're only going to get one shot at this. Our only hope of finally replacing that alien with a qualified human figurehead.
You're joking, of course. Why would I put someone like you in charge of the system, Roslov? You'd be twice the monster Superman is. 10 times as bad.
Supposing he's immortal, can you imagine an eternity of communist rule under that tyrant? Whose regime does the master strategist think he'd stand a better chance of toppling, eh? Use your head, Batman.
Okay, it's a deal. But understand this. Once Superman is dead and buried, I'm coming after you so hard and so fast that nothing on this earth will ever be able to stop me. I swear, on the memory of my mother and father, you're going to follow him to an early grave.
You mean you can try? Ladies and gentlemen, comrades from every quarter of the Soviet Union, please raise your glasses and join me in a toast to Superman in this birthday celebration. Ladies and gentlemen, to President Superman!
President